Chapter 1. Blood and Honor. The sun hung low over the rugged peaks of Mount Teedidos, its golden light bleeding into the valleys where the Spartans trained. The air smelled of sweat bronze, and the dry earth of Laconia, where the wind carried whispers of war. It was the year 480 BC, and the world beyond Sparta's borders was trembling. The Persian Empire, vast and relentless, marched westward, its shadow stretching toward Greece like a storm gathering on the horizon. But here, in the red soil of the Eurotas Valley, the Spartans prepared not just for battle, but for the inevitable clash of civilizations. Among them was Leonidas, a warrior whose name would soon echo through history. His body was a landscape of scars, each telling a story of battles fought and victories won. But it was not his strength alone that set him apart. It was the quiet fire in his eyes, the unshakable resolve that burned beneath his bronze helmet. He moved through the ranks of his men with the grace of a lion, his presence commanding respect without a word. The Spartans knew what was coming. They had heard the reports Persian host was unlike anything Greece had ever faced. A sea of men, a forest of spears, and at its head Xerxes, the self-proclaimed king of kings. Yet for all the looming threat there was another force at work in the shadows of Sparta, a force as old as time itself, love, in the quiet moments between drills. When the warriors rested beneath the olive trees, Leonidas found himself drawn to a figure who should not have been there. A woman, her dark hair bound in the Persian style, her eyes sharp with intelligence. She moved like a shadow, unseen by most, but not by him. Her name was Artemia, a scout for the Persian advance, a spy in the heart of the enemy. She had come to gather secrets, to learn the weaknesses of the Spartans. But what she found instead was a man whose honor burnt brighter than any torch. Their first encounter was accidental, a brush of hands in the market, a fleeting glance that lingered too long. The air between them crackled with something forbidden, something dangerous. Leonidas should have turned away. He should have called the guards, should have seen her as nothing more than a threat. But he did not. And neither did she. For days, they met in secret, their conversations whispered beneath the cover of night. She spoke of the vastness of Persia, of cities that glittered like jewels, of a world beyond the narrow confines of Sparta's rigid laws. He spoke of duty, of the unbreakable oath he had sworn to his king and his people. They were worlds apart, yet in those stolen moments they found a connection that defied reason. Artemia had been sent to weaken Sparta from within, but instead she found herself torn. The stories she had heard of the Spartans, of their brutality, their cruelty, were not the stories she saw in Leonidas' eyes. He was fierce, yes, but there was kindness there too, a depth she had not expected. And he, in turn, saw in her not just a spy, but a woman of courage, of intelligence, of fire. The night before the Spartan forces were to march to Thermopylae, they met one last time. The air was thick with the scent of olive oil and burning torches. The city was alive with the preparations of war, but in the quiet of a secluded courtyard, they stood face to face, their hearts pounding in unison. "You must go," Leonidas said, his voice low. "If you are found here, they will kill you." Artemia's fingers brushed against his, a fleeting touch that sent a shiver down his spine. "And if I stay?" He hesitated. The weight of his duty pressed down on him like a mountain. "Then you will die with us." She smiled, a sad, knowing smile. "Then let me die with you." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. They both knew what this meant. She was choosing him over her own people, over her own survival. And he, in turn, was choosing her over the rigid code of his homeland. The next morning, as the sun rose over the mountains, the 300 Spartans marched toward their fate. Among them, though unseen, was Artemia. She had made her choice. She would stand with Leonidas, not as a spy, but as a warrior, not as an enemy, but as a lover. And so, as the Persian horde descended upon the narrow pass of Thermopylae, the stage was set for a battle that would echo through the ages, a battle of blood and honor, a battle where love, too, would make its stand. The clash of bronze on bronze would soon fill the air, the war cries of Spartans and Persians rising in, a chorus of defiance. But beneath it all, there was another sound, a whisper, a promise, a silent vow between two souls who had found each other in the heart of war. And as the first arrows flew, as the first shield shattered, as the first blood was spilled, they stood together, ready to face whatever came next. For in the end, it was not just a battle for Greece. It was a battle for their love.